Anyways, this is the last thing I'm going to say because I just put the stream up. Nick, your dad's rich. Thanks. Have a good day. See you later.
See y'all.
Rich is your dad.
And we are live and qualifying. Got a decent field tonight, and we are at the Indianapolis Road Course. Looks like a lot to handle. Let me get this link up for the people of VSRL so they can watch.
Yeah, this track is an absolute handful right now.
And then you get that in the Discord for the general. And then take off my sweatshirt and turn off this fan so I can hear it in the background on the stream. Looks like we got a decent sized field though. Be back in 20 seconds, Garrett.
Alright, I'm just getting everything figured out real quick. We get track qualifying going right now. Nobody has set a time. Everybody got about 7 to 8 cars out on their outlaps right now.
You don't know if they're good drivers or not. Open league, it's already, you know.
Mute everyone. Alrighty. Got everyone muted. As of right now, still got about probably 7-8 minutes. Matt Brewer is on the pole with Austin Sarr, last week's race 2 winner, sitting second. Gonna be a good battle tonight.
This is honestly probably one of the worst track conditions that I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
This track is a handful and a half right now, and these top few guys who are able to get 12, 13, 14 right now, you know, I'm very intrigued to see in the race if you can replicate that pace on a consistent basis, because this track is, Trent, to tell you right now, it is 65 degrees ambient at the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway right now. Track temp is 107 degrees. So the sun beating down on this track. This thing is a freaking handful right now. I'm counting about 12 cars on the track right now putting their laps in, and we're about to eclipse halfway in the session. And I don't know if anybody's going to be able, considering that this track is just getting hotter as we go, I don't think anybody's going to be able to touch the top two of Matt Brewer and Austin Sarr. Austin Sarr, two for 2 on poles so far this year.
Yeah. We just make sure I got my paint schemes right. We got Matt Brewer in a
PPG blue car.
Yeah, PPG paints. Brian's in a Pennzoil yellow car.
Yep, you got it, I think. So far, 11 cars have taken time.
It's gonna be a pain switching through. I got like 32 people that have tried to join, but not everyone showed up, so. And some people were removed, but it doesn't remove it from my clicker. One of last year's road course dominant, Evan Zelensky.
Yep, making his return, first night of the year.
Still no sign of Season 1 champion, though.
Yeah, or maybe he'll be out in a few weeks. I do think that this race is going to eclipse the record for the highest attended race in this league's short history. Last season, we had 17 cars start the race at Indianapolis, and that is the most that we've had so far.
As I see you kicking some people out.
Yeah, this race is supposed to be passworded, so, and I completely forgot to do it, so
Oh.
this is the only way to be in this race is be basically in the Discord, so I'm removing anybody who's not. So I'm confident that we got a good field, and oh my gosh. Trent, I don't know about you, but this thing has the potential. But you look at the times and the names, this thing has, the way that they raced last week and the ones, Evan Zelensky thrown into the mix, we got ourselves a really good race in our hands, and I think this is going to be much more a driver's race than last week. I think last week was a lot more tedious to handle. This one's going to be more, send it than last week.
55 laps.
It's going to be interesting to see the way the strategies come out. 2 extra sets of tires tonight. Probably only 2 pit stops. You're only going to make 2 to get those 2 sets of tires. They have both kinds sitting in the pits, so whatever they start on, plus 1 of each. So they have to run both throughout the night. So you start on the reds. Sometime during the race, you have got to run the regulars. Coming up in about 2 minutes left, and still nobody's been able to touch the top 2 times of Matt Brewer and Austin Saar. Scott Segrist is a 1:13.4 sitting third. Evan Zelensky with a 1:13.6 sitting fourth. Rounding out the top 5 is Nicholas Weatherby with a 1:13.7, and Brian Edwards just threw himself into the hat.
Just got a picture. It is snowing back home. No fun.
The first 13 cars separated by just over 2 seconds with the condition of this track. This is setting up to be one hell of a show. 108 degrees, so the track is getting hotter as we speak. So, what is it going to end up getting to? And it's really going to make these drivers think. I can get this fast lap with how freaking hot this track is. It is literally going to eat these tires alive. So how hard are these guys going to be able to push and actually get away with on these red tires?
That 1:12.832. That's the top time.
I really think you can be any one of those top 5 drivers. You go out there and you push that car hard for the first 5 laps, and you are going to be in a bad position for this race. No cautions tonight, so it is really about how you maintain your race and how you handle your whole race from start to finish.
Yeah. And, all watching, if you guys are going to be a new voice in the broadcast booth next week. I'm going to be actually racing Chicagoland, so we're going to have Adam Tips up here in the booth, and I should have said his last name, but whatever, sorry Adam. We're going to have Adam up here in the booth with Garrett.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait for the first oval of the season. We come up on the end of qualifying. Those top 2 times I was talking about that I don't think they were going to get touched. Evan Zelensky tried. Evan Zelensky coming to the line right now. Ran number 3 last lap. Is he going to be able to get to it? Coming down to the line to finish qualifying. All these cars are on their last run. He does not. Next up to make the time is Richard Mason, coming out of the last turn.
No, and with qualifying over, that
Richard Mason does not. Troy Banks coming down to the line to finish qualifying. Best is a 14 flat. Can he improve? No, 14.8. Jonathan Adams coming to the line, followed close by Trey Burke. And I think the final pass coming to the line is going to be Robert Majors to finish qualifying. Ran a 14.7 last lap. 14.8. That is going to do it. Matt Brewer and Austin Saar make up the front row for the third race of the season. Evan Zalesnik and Scott Segrist on row 2.
and Robert Majors just died.
This is going to be a interesting first turn.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like tires are falling off pretty quickly, so.
You got me muted in game.
Yep.
All right.
As Garrett's gonna go over some rules. As we are getting ready to grid, still waiting on some drivers. As Garrett was saying, Matt Brewer is on the pole. Austin Saar had his 2-pole streak snapped. And behind him is Steve Seegers and Evan Zalesnik with Nicholas Weatherby, who ran a really good race last week until he had a slight mistake. Was able to rebound from that. Brian Edwards, Troy Banks, Joey Villamoretti, Ryan Depew, and Taylor W. Woods rounding out your top 10. Big field tonight.
Yeah, 15 cars, pretty nice.
15, still not the record, but
Right, it was close. We got close. There's a couple guys who weren't able to make it out tonight. I know Elliott, his wheel crapped out, so he's not going to be able to race.
as we make it around this
Oh boy, Trey, I'm ready to get this thing going.
2.61 mile track as we pace, getting ready to go.
Can you hear me on the stream?
Well, I can hear you. I'm pretty sure stream can.
Nice.
You might want to check
Try to get this thing started.
We are ready to go.
I think this is going to full-blown come down to strategy.
Oh, yeah. I don't think...
The track temp right now at the start of the race, 109 degrees.
And run a clean race, too, because, I mean, watching practice...
Turn one will be full telltale as we dive it in right now.
I mean, it looked like it was a handful, so, I mean, it might not be your top 5 that wins this race. It's going to come down to who can run clean and strategy, and it'll be fun.
Coming out of oval turn 1, pace cars off, moments away from getting it started here in Indianapolis.
Green, green, green.
And we are green. Ooh, right
kind of
there.
a bad start by Austin Sarr. Checked up the field just a little bit. They're getting gapped. That's probably beneficial for the whole field, getting a gap between each other.
Yeah, it's not going to be so cramped coming into turn 1.
One of those cars, Evan Zalesnik, taking a very low line into turn number 1. He's going to be side by side with Brian Edwards through 2. He's going to get the position as Matt Brewer starts to pull away. Oh, Evan Zalesnik overdrives turn 3. He's off the track.
Yeah, but, you know, we saw last year at Road America.
Oh, Matt Brewer.
Ooh, his front wing falls off.
And that's, you know, Trent, exactly what we talked about in qualifying. Pushing too hard right now is detrimental to your race. You are on cold tires on a track that is not tire-friendly right now.
Oh, and his front wing is gone.
Oh, third place. Who's that?
Oh, let's go up to Austin
Joey
Sarr now.
Taylor Woods off track. Joey Villaminetti spun out from 4th.
And
now Austin Sarr plays chase from Scott Segrist, who benefited the most from the turn 1 chaos, from the lap 1 chaos.
And Evan Zelznick, actually, who started 4th, is sitting back here a little bit. You know, he didn't. But
front 2 cars opting to start the race on the primary. So is Brian, so is Robert. The first car on the alternate tires is Nicholas Weatherby. So it's going to be interesting to see once these tires get up to temp, if he's able to catch up and get around these guys. Trey Burke behind him also on the alternate tires.
And Brian Edwards has moved into 3rd. Interesting, Robert Majors was not in the top 10 and has already made his way up to 4th place. Ooh, going wide there, but you know, it doesn't look like the top
I hope Matt Brewer knows that he has damage, or else he's just costing himself each lap that he is out.
Yeah, I don't know, but you know, maybe he's just trying to make it for a pit stop because he is falling.
And already the leader's
heavy.
coming up on lap traffic, Ryan Depew. He's going to let him go easy peasy. I wonder how Ryan is already way back a lap down. Something must have happened.
Maybe he spun something.
The chase is on. Austin Sarr, we watched him, you know, in the exact opposite position last week in Montreal, but I don't think right now that I think Austin knows better than to push too hard.
Well, I mean, we saw it work out for him race 2, where he sat in the 2nd spot almost the whole race until, was it Nicholas Weatherby spun out, and Austin Sarr was able to take the win.
Right now, Trey Burke getting around Nicholas Weatherby right now, under attack by Troy Banks. As Trey Burke right now is the top car on the alternate tires, so I think that, you know, he definitely is probably the fastest potential car on the track right now, but for how long? Because, you know, last week you wanted the Reds. You wanted to run the Reds for as long as you humanly could. But tonight, I don't think you want the Reds, because you realistically are probably going to get 7 or 8 laps out of it, and then that thing is going to be completely washed. You're not going to be able to drive this car straight on even half as old tires than the primaries. That's why you see, you know, Scott, Austin, Brian, all on the primary tires, and right now they're pulling away, but I don't know how it'll be in a couple laps.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's a long race. 55 laps on a road course.
Yeah, we do have a long way to go. Over 50 laps to go tonight. And, you know, just like it was last week and just like it will be on every single road course for the whole season, the name of the game is minimizing mistakes. You could be, you know, half pace, and if you minimize your mistakes, you're going to give yourself a podium. Pushing hard in these cars on tracks, especially tracks like this, that are 110 degrees track temp. You push too hard, and, you know, no matter how good you are, these cars are going to give out.
And I was thinking today, I mean, I was sitting at lunch, and I was like, who is going to be the top car tonight? And,
No, you weren't, Trent. You were not thinking that at lunch.
no, I was, I promise.
Did you go to the what do they call it, racer station?
I went to the school cafeteria.
Oh.
And
What'd you get?
I got myself a chicken bacon ranch sub. It was yummy, I'll be honest, but I really was thinking about that. I was like, and Scott Segrist was in my top 5.
Yeah, he really had a couple good runs going last week. Couldn't really capitalize on either one of them. Trent, what did you get on your sandwich?
Well, I got chicken bacon, lettuce, onions, pickles, and jalapenos, and ranch.
No mustard?
No mustard. That's gross.
What?
I mean, maybe honey mustard would be good.
Disrespectful. What's my name in fantasy right now?
Something about honey mustard? I don't know.
Only mustard. First and second have checked out. Austin Starr chilling at about exactly a second behind Scott Segrist, and they have put almost 5 seconds on third place. And then you have an entire gaggle of cars. You have 5 cars.
Brian.
You have 3rd through 7th within a second of each other.
You got Robert Majors, Nicholas Weatherby.
I'm very impressed by Brian Edwards. You know, he's playing with a broken pinky toe.
Is he?
Yeah.
I didn't know he did that.
I don't know what he did. I think he might have like stubbed it on a chair.
Ouch.
I don't know. But it's broken. And
you know,
if you're toe tapping around this place with your pinky toe,
you know, kind of
Brian
impressed.
Edwards, you're doing it better than anybody else.
Missing half a front wing, and Matt Brewer is still in the top 10.
The lap times are not horribly bad for not having half of a front wing, but he is definitely feeling it. He just might not know that what he is feeling is half of a front wing.
I mean,
but I guarantee you that he's going to be checking off the laps a lot quicker when he's able to get to pit road and get that fixed.
Oh yeah, but does he know? I mean, does he make a pit stop and not use a fast repair?
Well, I think that they will fix a front wing without a fast repair.
Okay.
I think. I could easily be wrong, but I think that for the Indy car, they will replace the front wing without using a fast repair. Austin Starr is closing the gap on Scott Segrist down to half a second.
And I'm on the cockpit of Austin Starr, and it just looks like it's tough to drive. I mean, it's wanting to swing out on him.
Very squirrely. I only ran a few practice laps, and I thought it was fun because I love these kind of tracks. I love hot, slick, loose racetracks. I love that kind of racing, and it'll really test your driving abilities. But doing it the way they're doing it, because this is a long-term points race, and you really can't make mistakes. And I'm happy having to do that tonight because it's pretty stressful when you got to run 55 straight laps, about an hour straight, and the car does not want to go straight anywhere on the track.
Yeah, it does not seem fun, and Scott Segrist pulling away just a little bit now.
Maybe that's back to the adage that
about 2 seconds.
Maybe Austin Sarr got a little enticed by the gap and started pushing a little harder. And if that is the case, then we really know the tire wear of this track. New the last place on the podium. Robert Majors up to third place. Brian Edwards now holding off Trey Burke for fourth. Trey Burke making the move down into turn one underneath Brian Edwards. He's going to be able to clear him. Troy Banks right behind him. So the alternate tires, here we are, lap 8, alternate tires are up to fourth. Don't know if they're going to be able to catch first or second, but we could see them pushed up to third place pretty easily.
It's a big gap, almost 8 seconds that they're going to have to overcome it. It's not impossible. Brian holding strong. Kind of got lucky there with the corner coming, but Brian is going to lose this spot here in just a minute.
He's under fire by 2 of them, Troy Banks and Nicholas Weatherby behind him.
You know, well, you said with a broken pinky toe, man. That is impressive.
Probably hurting a little bit right now.
He's probably like, damn, why wasn't Chicago this
Trey Burke making a move on Robert Majors for third. He's got him. He's gone. Now there's the opportunity for Trey Burke, essentially with clean air right now, to try and go catch those 2 leaders on these tires. We're going to have a drag race down the front stretch here between the 2 of them. You know, if I'm Robert Majors, I don't push this that hard because I just let Trey go and do whatever he wants. I let him drive as hard as he humanly can to waste those tires.
This right here
I'll
is
come
where
back and get him in 10 laps.
Oh, yeah, this right here is where the race, 3rd through about 8th, because Matt Brewer with that broken wing is right there in the mix.
You know, once these pit stops are happening, I think the field is going to end up closing a little bit. Third place, Troy Burke has a little bit of right side pod damage. You know, I really think that there are a few very fast cars in the back half of the field right now that are going to end up playing a role in the finish of this race. Maybe not for another 35 laps, but I do think that it is going to end up playing out.
One to keep an eye on.
A couple of these guys that are not up there with 1 and 2 right now are going to potentially play a role in this race.
I mean, my picks at the moment in the, not in first and second, Austin Starr and Scott Segrist are, Robert Majors. He's fast. He didn't even start on the pole. He started about in the top 10. I mean, he started like 12th. He's up to 4th. Trey Burke.
12th up to 3rd.
Matt Brewer, when he gets that wing fixed, is he fast?
I think he will be, and I also think that Evan is going to be fast after these first round of pit stops.
Yeah, it didn't sound like Evan got a lot of practice.
But I just don't think that I think now the gap is big enough with first and second that it is going to, as I said just a couple minutes ago, that I think that one of these few drivers is going to end up playing a role in the finish of this race. I don't think it is going to be that big of a role because first and second are literally checking out from the rest of the field. And even with pit stop difficulties, they're putting themselves in a position where they can make a mistake, and nobody else can. Everybody else is going to have a perfect rest of the race. If you're Scott Segrist and Austin Starr, you can afford to make a minimal mistake as Robert Majors goes under Trey Burke for 3rd.
But last week...
They going to get him? Nope. Side by side into one. Burke is going to give him the position and take it right back. They almost make contact. Burke is loose. Here comes Troy Banks for 4th. Oh, Troy Banks spins it. That was
saves it, though.
Little bit of a checkup by Burke, and Banks just couldn't react in time. Almost lost it. And boy, do we got a battle for 3rd place.
Banks right back in. Makes his way in front of Brian. I am impressed that this wing hasn't pulled, hasn't really done that much.
20% through this race. and we have a battle for third between a whole gaggle of cars. 2 seconds separates third through ninth.
Hope you guys watching are having a great night, enjoying this race. Me and Garrett up in the booth. We appreciate you guys here. Now, according to my race thing, about a 3-second gap between first and second. Scott Segrist is pulling away.
Yeah, he's pulling away, and I don't know if Austin Starr is saving or if he's used up his tires too much. We already have a car on pit road right now. Evan Zalesnik has decided to bring it down pit road. The first car to be on the current pit strategy.
I mean,
So,
nothing to lose. He was a little slow.
This is
maybe.
where we figure out just how valuable fresh tires are right now.
You know,
if Evan is able to gain a lot of time on these fresh tires, then it could pay off big time.
Yeah, I mean, you have to pit twice, at least.
I think it is going to end up being just a two-stop race, but he is pitting really early to make it a two-stop race. You have got to extend the hell out of one of them, and for this race, you know, the tires are going so fast that you're not going a full fuel run. Track temp 112.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Track is getting hotter. Tires are getting burned off faster.
Just a little over 4 seconds between our leader and second place. And between second place and third is about, I'd say about 20 seconds.
What, it is astonishing the gap that first and second have put on third on back.
It is, but are they faster and they're just slowing each other down because they've been fighting? You know, I mean, they've been fighting for position back there, so they
I do think that is something that is factoring into it.
Well, they might be faster, but they've been fighting. Because I mean, it's one thing to put down a lap. I mean, because first through fifth, they were real close in qualifying, a little under a second. But I mean, you look back here, Troy Banks and Robert are fighting. You got fifth place and Nicholas Weatherby trying to catch up. He's kind of alone now. But Brian Edwards is right on his tail.
Evan Zalesnik's first lap up to speed on new tires. Fastest car on the track. By half a second.
Yeah.
So, new tires is paying off. I don't know when the rest of them are going to find out. But Evan knows, and now is the time for Evan to take advantage. I don't know how the strategy is going to be for the rest of his race, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, he lost some time pitting, but I mean, he's gonna make that up probably 2 or 3 laps with the faster tires. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
Trey Burke has exited stage left for the evening. I believe he's in an accident.
Yeah, I tried to go back and see when he left, so it wouldn't let me. Ooh. Robert and Troy almost get into each other, almost rear end each other right there. But you know, with that wing damage, Matt, he stayed right in the top 10 still. I mean, he's sitting 8th, racing for position, trying to fight through it. I mean, put a damper on him, you know, he was sitting on the pole, spun out, got hit, but could have been race altering, you know, he could have been sitting last.
True. Could be out of the race.
But decides not to pit.
No, turn 1, Nicholas Weatherby slides it. He's going to lose those few spots, and that is why it is imperative that you hit your marks when you have a group of 6 cars running mid-pack all together and finding no separation between each other. You make one, you run second line, you make one mistake and step out. Well, now you were running 4th, now you're running 10th.
You know, it'll be interesting to see when the leaders.
No, Troy Banks has wrecked down the backstretch.
We will show that.
That's all he did was he put a little bit too much gas in it. Too much gas, too fast, spun her out. He's out for the night.
Yeah, that's rough for Troy. He was having a really good race, but it's a long race. Still got our leader, Scott Segrist. Brian Edwards sitting 4th now. Matt Brewer's moved his way up to 5th.
Very impressive. Half a wing. Still got 39 laps to get it done.
Yeah, but that's a 30-second gap.
That's a lot of racing. That's a lot of time to make up, especially when you have the leaders still running the fastest laps on the track.
Yeah, 30 seconds. $25. I mean, I'd bring it down lap 20, pit lap 40. You got 15 laps.
Gotta give yourself a 15 lap run. I would just wait until the very end to run those reds.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know, because this track is at 113 degrees. It is literally going to be increasing as this race goes on. So the end of the race is going to be the worst conditions.
I mean, maybe 25, you know, maybe bring it down lap 50. 5 laps on the reds.
You know, if there's anybody in this race who I think wants it more than anybody, it's Brian Edwards. As Nicholas Weatherby slides off the track into the sand trap, gets it back going.
I mean,
Brian Edwards wants this more than anybody else in this field. Came here last year, we ran the oval, and I was a part of that great finish. With they ended up being under caution, but Brian Edwards who was able to pull it away. And I think that it would be a huge boost to be able to say that he's claimed to both Indianapolis races on both configurations.
Yeah. It'd be pretty impressive. And I watched that. It was crazy, that ending.
Kind of miss having it on the schedule this season, but, you know, that makes it all that much more worth attending and you know, going for the win and winning it. You know, it makes it that much more prestigious that, you know, the biggest race for real-life IndyCar, you know, we only go to once a year. So,
Yeah.
you know, we'll be back at Indy next season, but for these fall seasons, we're not going to run Indy. We're going to run Michigan in its place.
I think, I mean,
Nicholas Weatherby has brought it down. Second car to bring it down and get on the current cycle that Evan Zalesnik is on. And Evan Zalesnik already 7 laps into his run.
And Brian hasn't been on iRacing that long. I mean, he was only on iRacing a couple months when he got his first win at Indy. So he's got a little bit more experience now.
Have you done it through the field yet? It's time for through the field.
I have done a little bit of through the field.
All the way. All the way to the back.
We got Scott Segrist sitting first. Austin Sarr trying to chase down that leader, but
Austin Sarr has really allowed a massive gap to be formed.
Yeah, and he does have lap traffic coming now. We have a Robert Maders sitting third. Interesting. Haven't talked about him much tonight. Richard Mason has moved his way into the 4th position. Just talking about him. Brian Edwards sitting in the 5th spot. Matt Brewer 6th. Have not spoke of this man at all tonight. Sitting in the 7th spot. Let me see if I can find him. William Brennan.
William Brennan has definitely flown under the radar tonight.
8th spot, Joey Vilmaretti. 9th spot, Jonathan Adams.
Another car flown under the radar.
Yeah, I haven't spoke to him. Evan Zelznick. Or Evan Zelznick. Sitting in the 10th spot. You get your 11th spot would be Nicholas Weatherby. Taylor Woods sitting 12th. Just was lapped when we were on him. Ryan Depew, man.
Flown under the radar, Ryan Depew.
Sitting 13th.
He's got his sponsors race coming up in a couple of weeks as we head to Long Beach. That race is actually going to be the Orange Logic Grand Prix at Long Beach.
All right, that'll be interesting.
The sponsor that is on the side of Ryan Depew's car is going to be the namesake of at Long Beach next week, in 2 weeks. The Chaos of Long Beach, that is going to be.
Ron does a lot for this
he's
league,
looking
too.
forward. Oh yeah, he does. He's one of the driving forces behind this league. Is it? A lot of these guys are stepping up, and it's really starting to push this league along. As busy as I got in between starting this thing, as the leaders are coming down pit road, Trent.
Pitting together. Let's see. Does one of them make a mistake?
This is really, if one of them makes a mistake and the other capitalizes, that could set the tone for the rest of the race.
Yeah,
we saw it happen last week.
Robert Majors coming down pit road. Mason coming down pit road.
Ryan Edwards and Matt Brewer, the only 2 cars not to pit.
And looks like no mistake for Scott Segrist.
Nope, he's away and gone. William Brennan's going to get by him, but that is completely temporary. As I don't know if Austin Sarr had a problem or not, but that was a very long pit stop. As I was saying before the pit stop started, still have 3 cars on there. The way that a few of these drivers are stepping up is really pushing this league along, and I cannot state it enough how thankful I am. That people are as invested as they are. They're willing to, take time out of their lives to help this league.
Well, we
It's
all
really
got
freaking
busy
awesome to see.
schedules,
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun moving forward.
I'm a full-time student, working as well. It'll be interesting to see when Brian and Matt make their pit stops. Are they trying to go to that lap 25 mark? I'm interested to see it.
The leaders on pit road, Brian Edwards and Matt Brewer. The temporary lead that they have is gone.
And I do want to see, do they, he might use that fast repair, so I wouldn't really know, but I want to know if they fixed the wing.
Moments away from finding out. There it is. Brand new wing, on Matt Brewer's car. Let's see if it changes the performance at all. He was running some blistering laps there for a little while. Brian Edwards is going to beat him off the pits.
Coming there, and Matt Brewer.
And I think that the big gainer from these pit stops was Evan Zalesnik.
Yes. Up to 6th.
He's going to be running. He's going to be running 3rd or 4th. He's going to be running 3rd at the end of this pit cycle. Now, albeit he's going to have to come to pit road in about 9 or 10 laps, but he has that strategy that he is on has put him in 3rd.
You know, and maybe he was like, "Look, I'm a little slower."
And the gap is closed.
Yeah.
If he's able to, now I don't know if it's going to be closed enough by the time that this strategy comes or plays itself out on the second round of pit stops. But for an end result of the race, Evan Zalesnik has put himself in a position to steal 3rd place from everybody else after he's been running in the back of the pack since the start.
Yeah, I mean, oh, right there, 3rd. He is 3rd. You know, but I mean, that's just strategy right there. You know, he
That strategy playing off perfectly, and he's got to make no mistakes. And he continues to make no mistakes. And the position that he's putting himself in, he knows where he knows where his basket is going to be at the end of this race. He knows that he's got to make another pit stop, and that last run is going to be crucial. That you're able to stick it out to the end. But he's going to be in such a good position.
You know, he noticed maybe I'm a little slower, so I'll do a little pit stop. You know, that might pay off, and it is right now.
The gap has closed between 1st and 2nd place. Down to 5.4 seconds. It was up to 6.6. And, you know, we really cannot count out Evan Zalesnik because,
Can't.
you know, we had a dominant force last season in Alex Pelican, but there was one guy who could figure him out on these road courses, and that was Evan. So, you know, we cannot count him out right now. You know, he's 27 seconds behind, but we still have over half the race to go.
We do.
We have a pit stop for sure coming. We've seen crazier stuff happen, which is crazy.
That is very true. Who's this one? You know, we were just talking about him, Jonathan Adams. He was up in the top 10. Just got lapped. He's sitting 11th now, but that right there is a victim of pit strategy.
I'll be right back.
All right, bud. And right there, we are in. Evan still sitting strong, sitting 3rd. Richard Mason trying to track him down, sitting in the 4th spot. Robert Major sitting 5th. Brian Edwards sitting there strong. And Brian did take red, so that's the first I'm seeing of that. So, Brian trying, that right there, that might cost him, but no.
He's gonna take a dive into turn 1.
He gets him there, but he needs to close it out here, and he did. But he is fighting back. Brian does successfully finish the move. Matt Brewer also finished that move. So that helped out right there. Did not mean to click off that. Meant to stay on Brian. William Brennan having a really great night. Have not talked about him enough. And he is sitting 8th. Nicholas Weatherby 9th. And I really do like that paint scheme.
Scott Seaver's is starting to pull out that gap once again, and he's pulling it out on Evans Lesnick too. Up to 30 seconds back over Evans Lesnick, so you know that pit stop's gotta come soon, but he still cannot make it to the end. He's still gotta. It is going to be close on whether or not Evans Lesnick is able to make it on one more stop. That's all I can say. It is going to be very close. As we are about to crest halfway, we are up to a track temp of 114 degrees.
Damn.
A blisteringly hot track. I'm really not sure how many times we're going to see a track temp that hot this season. But what I do know is anytime that we do see that, we know that we're in for a good race.
It has been. I mean, not a lot of accidents. I mean, I don't want to jinx it. We are.
And I tell you what, something that I have learned over the years about races in these conditions. Races in these conditions really calm people down because instead of focusing on racing each other, they have to focus more on racing the track, and they're forced to.
And right there, I mean, Scott Segrist has pulled out such a gap. He just made a mistake that if there wasn't a gap, it could have cost him the lead. He went off track, went through the grass, but he is doing a really good job. Austin Stars were trying to catch back up, but this gap is just huge. I do think that Austin had trouble on pit road, which is unfortunate for him, but Scott Segrist has been the dominant car all evening. You know, with that early pit stop, Evan is really paying off, still sitting in third.
You know what Scott told me before the race, Trent?
What?
He loves this track. He lives in Indianapolis.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So
That's cool.
performing good at home. That's something that I've been, privileged to do before. Not in IndyCar, but in the trucks, able to win at my home track, and it just it hits different when you win at home.
Closest track to me is Loudon.
Bad track.
It's a nice track, Gary. Shut your
I'm
mouth.
thinking about putting New Hampshire on the schedule, but it's so boring. I don't know if I should.
Nah, it's not a bad track. You're just a dick.
Bad track.
You're biased.
Did you watch the last IndyCar race at New Hampshire?
No.
Watch it and tell me I'm wrong. It's a shit show.
Why is it a shit show?
Shit show. Should have been won by Oriol Serbia. Shit show.
Just bad?
Bad. They tried running in the rain, just like the good old NASCAR did.
That's a terrible idea.
Speaking of NASCAR, I'm about ready to get into a NASCAR mood immediately after tonight, because we only got a couple more days of it. Who you got, Trent? Who you got winning all the championships?
Well, if I stand corrected,
If you stand corrected.
Austin Cindric won there and earlier in the. Is that true?
Yes, that is. I agree. I think he's going to win the Xfinity Championship.
I think that. Well, I don't know, man. My dark horse is Noah Gragson, and he's been pretty dominant this late half of the season. My cup is. I mean, I'd hate to see it anyone but Larson.
Something has happened to Brian Edwards over the course of the last few laps, because he is looking exactly like Matt Brewer was in the beginning of this race.
Ooh.
Missing the front left part of the wing. Evans Lesnick bringing it down pit road 21 laps into his run. I don't think Evans Lesnick can make it to the end. I think that Evans Lesnick is going to potentially be 1 to 2 to possibly 3 laps short of making this thing all the way.
I think it'll be
As
close.
hard as he is going to be pushing after he gets out of the pits, and he's only able to make it 22 laps. We have 23 laps to go.
He's gonna have to
Coming
save.
by this time, Scott Seegers, we're going to have 22 laps to go. So as hard as he's going to be pushing, it's going to be interesting. Everybody else still got about 10 more laps, so we are going to be having about a 10 to go pit stop, 10 or 11 to go pit stop with everybody.
Richard Mason eclipses the top 3 for the first time tonight. But back to my comment. I'd like to see. I think Kyle Larson, but I don't know. Truex won that earlier in the year, but he's kind of there. And then you can't really sleep on Chase Elliott. He won that last year, so. And then trucks, I don't know, man. Maybe Matt Crafton. Or John Hunter Nemechek.
I think Ben Rhodes is going to win. I'm rooting for Zane Smith. Almost contact between Joey Villamoretti and Taylor Woods. That was almost an accident. Running back in the pack. You know, this race is kind of chilled out a little bit. Everybody's kind of spaced out. The gaps that we were seeing that lasted very long into this race. You know, and they're not even completely spread out. You know, we still got 3rd to 6th within just a few seconds of each other. So, you know, this is not completely spaced out, but everybody's kind of doing their own thing right now. It's the part of the race where everybody's focused. You know, let's just get to the end, especially if you're one of the leaders. So, as the, you know, Scott Segrist is coming up on putting a lap down. You know, Taylor Woods is already a lap down, looking at going another lap down. Joey Villamaret and Evans Olesnik. So, is Evans Olesnik going to go a lap down in the process of watching his strategy play out?
I don't know, but he had to do something because, like, not that he was slow, but like he was.
No, but I think
back.
honestly that I think they're really only getting that amount of fuel, running only those 20 or so laps.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be close.
20 to go. Coming to 19 laps to go.
You know, and the gap between third and fourth is almost 7-8 seconds.
Yeah, Richard Mason really came out of nowhere. Started 15th, put himself up into third, and he started to check out. Richard Mason, who I believe only competed at one of the events last week.
Yeah, and race one winner has not shown up 2 races in a row now. So. "25-second gap though between first and second. I mean first and second.
Brian Edwards has already made his pit stop, so
he probably had to.
that's gonna set the pace for the rest of his races. He's a lap down right now. I don't think he's gonna be able to gain a lap once these leaders pit. And you know, if you are one of the leaders, you know, what do you take? When do you take it? Scott Segrist is in another zip code. Scott Segrist can almost afford to spin out, and he'll still be the leader. And it has taken him this whole 38-lap race to put himself in a position to say that.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost 10 seconds ahead. I mean, not a big mistake, but he could afford a couple little ones. Laps to go. And it's looking like it's probably
just 17 more laps until we're on to an oval. So Trent, speaking of the oval, tell me, Trent, what are you looking forward to most next week?
Well, you understand that Chicago is my favorite track in iRacing, so
Oh, I'm aware. I've seen you perform exceptionally well at Chicago. But in stock cars, Trent, tell me the motivation to running an Indy car.
Well, never really ran the Indy car, so I want to see how they, I kind of want to see how they perform to get a little bit more grasp when I'm up here in the booth, so I can understand it a little bit more. That's part of it. I've never really run them. I know they got that like push to pass thing too, so I want to understand that.
Push pass only on road courses, thankfully.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was on an oval. But I just want to kind of understand the car a little bit more, being up here in the booth, so I can, maybe explain some certain things. But
Austin Sarr's pursuit of Scott Segrist is rough right now. He's sandwiched between the teammates of Indy Autosport from Brian Edwards and Taylor Woods. Brian Edwards who's able to get around Austin Sarr, but he is a lap down. It's going to be interesting to see how much of a gap he can close whenever these leaders inevitably pit.
10 to go. 16 to go. I'm pitting with. I'm going to probably split it right down the middle, 8 to go.
I was thinking maybe pitting about 12 laps to go. Because, takes about a lap and a half to get those tires to temp, your brakes to temp, so you're really going to have about 10 and a half laps to push it really, really hard.
Yeah, that's true.
And, if you're pushing, I don't know how hard these front guys have been pushing during the course of this whole race, but I have to imagine that if you're not making mistakes, you're not pushing very hard. This track is simply too hot. It is 115 degrees, and if I know anything about this sim, if you're pushing at 115 degrees, you're not running in a good position right now.
Yeah, no, that's very, very true. And Evan Zelzing is the last car not a lap down. And it's interesting to see. And Austin Sarr is on pit road.
There he is. That honestly is really the only thing that he could have done to give himself a chance.
Yep. Hoping Scott Segrist makes a mistake.
Now, if you're Scott Segrist, what do? You go here and push for a couple laps, or do you bring it in right behind him and not give him even the chance to get an advantage?
I don't know. That's a hard one.
Austin Sarr beautifully in and beautifully away.
That's a hard one because
Clean stop by Sarr, and he's already going to have the hit from having better tires faster. But
we got Richard Major on pit road. Oh, I thought he was about to lose it there from last
that was
round.
almost bad.
We got Richard
Scott
Major
Segrist is going to leave it out. He's going to stay out for another lap.
Matt Brewer, man.
And the gap was so big that this is going to... I think the gap will be closed to about 6 or 7 seconds.
Yeah, it's just... Do you risk it?
I think right now, if you're Scott Segrist, what you say in your mind, that, my closest competitor, who I had over a 10-second lead on, has already pit. The only thing I have to do is not go any slower than I have been. I don't need to go faster. I just need to not go any slower. I do not need to push myself into a mistake.
Yeah.
Because he's already going to have the advantage. And Austin Sarr... Oh, Richard Mason, I'm sorry. Almost jumped the gun there. Richard Mason, those are the 2 3-lettered numbers. They are both Richard Mason on pit road right now. Austin Sarr is going to get the position back. I think the gap is still too long. I think it's too much right now. As he's coming up on lap 22 run, he's not going to pit this time. He's going to stretch it, coming to 13 laps to go. Austin Sarr has got to be pushing the lights out of that car. And you really don't. You don't have a choice but to push that hard. What are you laughing at, Trent?
Russell begging me to trade him a wide receiver. He sent me the same trade 3 times in a row.
Be interesting to see. Last lap, Evans Lesnick was the fastest car on the track. Austin Sarr on the freshest tires coming down.
And Evan has moved his way up.
Crossing the line. Fastest car on the track is Austin Sarr. Almost best lap of the race. Over a second and a half faster than Scott Segrist. And if Scott Segrist knows that, now is the time. Scott Segrist is pitting right now. As he's going to hit 12 to go while in pit road. This is now to see how close Austin Sarr has gotten in the last 3 laps.
I mean, speeding, you can't afford a mistake here.
This track is very rubbered up, Trent.
13 to go. You cannot afford a mistake.
This track is very rubbered up in the turns.
Oh, yeah, and there's a 35-second gap. Austin needs to run the best lap he has run all race.
Coming into this box.
And
Austin Sarr is in the last turn. The gap is still too big. He drops it, and he's away. It's going to be close, but it's not going to be close enough. Austin Sarr realistically has about another 3/4 of a lap to catch up.
Yeah.
And he is still 9.5 seconds behind.
William Brennan up to 3rd. Very, very silent race for him. Not been in the picture.
He's got a pit still.
He does, but he is up to 3rd. Evan Zelznick. And,
William Brennan, who also ran a very silent race last night. And the Scott Segrist running wide on a couple of those turns. William Brennan ran a pretty silent race last night and was able to bring it back and finish 2nd in a very close IMSA race. The detriment to Scott Segrist right now is he is stuck behind the lap car of Joey Villamaret. But other than that, I just think that the gap is too far. I'm sorry, Scott Segrist is stuck behind Joey Villamaret. Austin Sarr's got clean track ahead.
Yeah, and that.
But now,
still a 17-second.
The time is basically run out because Scott Segrist is just a couple turns away from having those brakes back to temp, having the tires to temp. And we're coming to 10 laps to go this time. I tell you what, that line into turn number 1 that Scott Segrist...
It's nice, man. I mean, I'm really impressed with the race he's ran. And
before. I have seen it that will spit you out sideways if you hit it wrong.
And the thing is does Evan have enough fuel?
That's going to be very close. He's sitting 5th, and I don't... he'll get the position when William Brennan inevitably has to pit, but Richard Mason has already gotten by him, and I don't think he's going to give the position back. And he's got a big fat gap to Robert Majors, so maybe Evan has finessed his way into 5th place for the night. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Scott Segrist is going to come down, take 10 laps to go. And he's still got about a 12-second lead. I'm sorry. The gap right now is 8.8.
William Brennan, you said still has to pit.
Yep, and he's on lap 23, so that... If William Brennan has pushed it to lap 23 and he's bringing it to pit road right now, I think that Evan is going to be good. Evan is either good or he's a lap short. One or the other. So, and he can afford to save a little bit. And I tell you what, something that might happen before the end of this race. I don't know if it will because it's still a long way to go, but Scott Segrist is coming up on Brian Edwards, Nicholas Weatherby, Matt Brewer, and Robert Majors. I don't think he's going to get to him, but we do have 10 laps, so we still got another 20% of this race to go.
Yeah, It's gonna be interesting.
And it is going to be very close for Evan. This is the situation that Evan is in. Make it on fuel, finish 4th. Don't make it on fuel, finish 9th. So as Austin Starr still fights desperately to close the gap on our leader, Scott Segrist, Evan Zalesnik, really the only one who we're questioning on whether or not he's going to be able to make the race, because he's the only one truly on a completely different strategy than the rest of these guys.
Yeah. Brian did get that lap back, but just not enough. Yeah, it looks like Ryan Depew blew her up. Tough night for him, but it's a long season.
The orange car got burnt. Jonathan Adams has exited the race.
I mean, we still got a lifetime away, 7 laps on this track. It feels like that, but man, it is an impressive run that Scott Segrist has been putting up tonight. Six to go. Richard Mason drifting around these corners. got 4 to go, and we weren't worried about Evan until almost the last lap, so that won't be terrible, but I mean, it's going to be killer in points for him if he does, because that's going to go from a 4th place to probably 9th and 10th. Steve Segrist has caught Brian Edwards, and he's going to go around. And like Garrett said, Garrett didn't think he would catch up to these guys, but he does. Gets around Brian.
And I'm really surprised that he's coming down to 2 laps to go right now, and that there's two groups of cars battling right now. Robert Majors and Matt Brewer almost wrecked on the front stretch. They did make contact. Majors came up just a little bit into him. My mic was muted, Trent, but I was asking you if you thought that the battle between Brennan and Edwards, that battle is for position for 8th, if that battle was going to slow down Scott Segrist at all, but it did not.
It looked like Brian was respectful, got over, didn't want to fight. I mean, he knows,
Impressive run by everybody. 55 laps on a track like this, and coming to the white flag this time, track temps up to 116 degrees. We were qualifying, and it was a little over 100, so it's a completely different track than when we started.
Richard Mason started last, and barring any complications, he is going to finish 3rd. That right there is your biggest mover of the night.
Brandon's going to let Segrist go, so he's smooth sailing to the end. All he's got to do is run another lap and a half with no mistakes, and he's got it. One more perfect lap, and he's done it in his 3rd start. Austin Sarr is going to be pulling the Alex Pelican move of season 1 of running 1st or 2nd through 3 races.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And did Scott Segrist start both races last week?
Yeah.
I thought so. I knew
he is in position to run for the playoffs. Or, sorry, not playoffs. He is in a position to run for the championship.
I knew he raced the 2nd one, but I didn't know if he got into the 1st. Couldn't remember. Oh, no, I know he did because I looked it up during lunch. Yeah, that's right. And does Evan have enough to make it to the end? I think he does.
He's either going to be running dry at the end of this lap, or he's not going to make it. He's going to run out sometime between now and then.
Ooh.
He's got Robert Majors hard charging behind him, sitting about a second and a half behind him.
Did? Man, he almost wrecked coming to the line. I mean, he knew he had the win.
We're going to end up having a battle for 4th here. Just a couple turns to go.
We got Austin Sarr.
He is running out of gas. I can hear it in the car that he's running out of gas.
It does.
Wants to hold on to fourth. If he runs out of gas now, Robert Majors and Matt Brewer are going to be promoted into the top 5.
He's close. I mean, it's going to be close.
Looks like he's got it. Scott Segrist coming around the oval part of the track.
Evan finishes 4th.
Congratulations, Scott Segrist.
It's a good race all around. I mean, you said it was his home track. Probably a good feeling for him. Doesn't look like anyone uses Discord.
Not yet.
Next week before the race, announce that 1, 2, and 3 would like to be in for interviews. If you didn't announce that this week. So next week before we get the race, just make sure you announce that here. Well, we thank you guys so much for watching. Noticed through the corner that we had a record number of people in here at one point in time. We had 8. That's really cool. Like I said, next week we will have a different broadcaster as I take my talents to the oval. We appreciate you guys. Scott Segrist.
Hey, yeah, he's in here.
Is he? Cool. Where? Oh.
Got him in here right now. Scott Segrist, how you doing?
Hey, good man. What's going on?
I tell you what. Well, let's be honest here. Beginning of that race, you were in the right place, the right time, and you took full advantage of it. How were you able to start 4th, have that happen on the first lap, and you're able to just set your mind straight, set sail on the whole field, and completely dominate that race?
Well, yeah, I got lucky there at the start with a couple guys that I think were probably had a little bit more pace than me, messing up on some cold tires, I think. And then, yeah, this is my home track, so I've ran more laps here than any other track on iRacing. So once the nerves settled down after them first couple laps of leading, I was just hitting my spots.
And it wasn't.
Yeah, me and Trent were talking about the whole race, that basically the key with a track in that state was basically just having to hit your marks and making no mistakes. Was it that hard tonight with the conditions of the track? Were you wheeling in it every turn, or were you able to set a pace where you were just able to chill out?
Yeah, not every turn. You had to be pretty careful turning into the corner. And then I think it wasn't too awful bad. I mean, maybe it was a little bit slick. The turning into the corner was the main thing giving me an issue, if there was anything. I was just taking it a little easy, coming off the brakes and turning in and staying smooth.
It was impressive, though. I mean,
Yes, sir.
At one point in time, you had almost a 20-second gap. And,
Well,
Yeah,
Scott, last
surprised
week
by that.
you had a second place, but then you also had an 8th. So, how do you use this
Yeah.
win as a stepping stone to the rest of the season to set yourself up in a position to win the championship?
Yeah, I'll just keep staying up near the front there and without making mistakes, I guess. Because yeah, that first race I bashed it off the wall or something, if I remember right, and then kept it clean. Second race and got second, and now a win. So just not make mistakes, I guess. Hang in there.
Hell yeah, that's the name of the game. Anybody you want to thank?
Well, just everybody that got the league together, making some good racing.
Awesome.
So,
Well, thank you, sir, and we'll get you out of here for tonight. We'll catch you next week. It's the first oval of the season.
sounds good, man. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Trent, you can get second place.
I hate this. It doesn't want to drag. You drag them up.
Austin, sorry, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
There you go, Trent.
Man. You had 2 poles last week, finished second. I mean, what would you need? I mean, congratulations on the second place. I mean, it looked like a hard race, man, but impressive nonetheless.
I mean, with the track temperatures today, I mean, there was no getting around some thermal degradation of the tires. It just got real slippery a lot of times, and this will probably be one of my worst tracks this season, including the race. I maybe have 300 laps here, so this is by far my least laps tracked in my repertoire.
Yeah, well, even, I mean, you saying that, I mean, second place finish, pretty impressive. Excited for the oval next week?
Not really.
Not really.
Chicago is my hometown, but I am not an oval person by trade, and one of my other leagues I tended to do pretty bad at ovals, so maybe I'll turn that around sometime.
Well, luckily for you, it is a predominantly road course season.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, well, you got anyone you want to thank?
The only people that come to mind offhand are just the people that allow me to be here. You know, the wife, and everyone else. I've got a little bit of free time away from my other obligations as a engineer and strategist for another team in another series. But you know, I'm glad to be afforded some time to get away from it a little bit and race someplace else.
Gotta get you a mind break and just do something you enjoy. So,
Definitely.
well, you know, man, we appreciate you being here, and it looks like we're gonna have a good season. I mean, you know, it's too early in the season to tell, but you've been one of the dominant cars so far. So, good luck on the rest of the season, man. And I'm gonna be hopping
Yep.
down onto the track with you guys next week. We'll have another broadcaster in here as I do the oval. So, good luck.
Awesome.
And
Well, looking forward to see you on track, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season and see how everything plays out, and you know, hopefully things will go well for me.
yeah, for sure. And see you next week, man. Congratulations once again.
Yep, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you guys so
Good
much.
night.
And we'll see you guys next week. Gotta get these to Adam. And I guess I better do some
As
practice.
before we break to Chicago, Austin Sarr enters Chicago race 4 with a 24-point lead.